What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. The idea of Alex Pereira knocking out Jon Jones is gaining more traction, and now a former champion has weighed in on the possibility. Jon Jones has built his legendary career on dominance, fight IQ, and durability, rarely taking clean, thudding shots throughout his time in MMA. However, Jan Blachowicz believes Alex Pereira might be the one fighter capable of changing that narrative. In recent months, talk of a potential showdown between Jones and Pereira has exploded. Both men have openly expressed interest in making the fight happen, turning it into one of the most talked about fantasy matchups in the sport. The intrigue largely comes from the stylistic clash. Jones is known for his range control, wrestling, and adaptability, while Pereira carries frightening knockout power that can end fights in an instant. Speaking recently with Home Fight, Blachowicz shared his thoughts on how that matchup could unfold. While discussing Pereira's future and the possibility of him facing Jones, Blachowicz said he believes Pereira absolutely has the tools to finish the fight. He pointed specifically to Pereira's punching power, stating that it gives him a real chance to knock Jones out before the final horn. According to Blachowicz, that kind of power changes everything, regardless of who is standing across from you. Blachowicz even mentioned the White House concept that has been floating around, suggesting that such a massive fight could fit perfectly on a card of that magnitude. Still, despite all the hype and speculation, the reality may be far less certain. As of now, the fight does not appear to be close to happening. Jon Jones recently told Red Corner MMA that he does not believe Dana White is interested in booking the matchup. That statement cooled expectations, at least for the time being. For now, the bout remains a dream scenario, but the belief that Pereira could knock out Jones continues to fuel debate across the MMA world. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Arman has made it clear that he has no interest in serving as a backup fighter for UFC 324. Despite being widely viewed as the #1 contender in the UFC lightweight division, Arman is not willing to put his body through a full weight cut unless an actual fight is guaranteed. Arman is coming off a dominant win in November, a performance that extended his winning streak to 5 and further cemented his status at the top of the division. Following that victory, many fans and analysts believed he had done more than enough to earn a title shot. Instead, the UFC announced that Paddy Pimblett would face Justin Gaethje for the interim lightweight belt at UFC 324, leaving Arman on the sidelines once again. That decision sparked widespread frustration online, with many questioning why Arman was still being overlooked. With the January 24th event approaching, some wondered whether Arman could step in as the official backup in case anything went wrong with the main fight. When asked about that possibility in a recent interview, Arman shut it down quickly. He explained that he has not spoken to the UFC about being a backup and made it clear that he would not cut weight just for money. According to Arman, the weight cut process is extremely difficult, and without a confirmed fight, it is simply not worth it. He added that if the UFC were to ask him directly, he would consider it, but no such request has been made. For now, Arman believes it is better to stay healthy and avoid unnecessary stress on his body. If he is going to cut weight, he wants it to be because he is stepping into the cage, not sitting cage-aside as insurance. Arman also referenced a past experience that influenced his stance. He reminded fans that he previously cut weight to serve as a backup for the Ilya versus Charles Oliveira fight last June. After going through a full training camp and a tough weight cut, nothing came of it, and he felt his energy was wasted. He emphasized how stressful weight cuts are, both physically and mentally, and said he does not want to repeat that situation again. For Arman, the message is simple. He is ready to fight, ready for the belt, and ready to prove himself, but only if the opportunity is real. Moving on to another news. Colby Covington and Luke Rockhold went off on Bo Nickal during the latest Real American Freestyle event. The two are set to collide in the headliner of the show, but before they ever step onto the mat, they joined forces to take verbal shots at Nickal during the RAF 5 pre-fight presser. Nickal is scheduled to wrestle Yoel Romero in the co-headliner, and tensions unexpectedly boiled over at the media event. Covington kicked things off by declaring that he was there to save wrestling, mocking what he described as entitled and boring figures who believed they deserved the spotlight. He bragged about his drawing power and reminded everyone that his name is etched in history at Madison Square Garden. Rockhold quickly followed, firing back with jabs about Nickal never headlining a major event and questioning his place on the card. The exchange escalated as both men talked over one another, each trying to belittle Nickal's accomplishments. The trash talk became increasingly personal, with Covington accusing Nickal of hurting the sport and claiming that wrestling needs loud, outspoken personalities who are willing to call their shots. He insisted that stars are what drive attention and money, not unproven names. Rockhold echoed the sentiment, saying that Nickal had not done enough to earn the respect he was demanding. According to Rockhold, the stage existed because of MMA, and Nickal had yet to prove himself within it. As the heated back and forth continued, Covington mocked Nickal's MMA resume, accusing him of quitting and lacking the toughness required at the highest level. The moment summed up the chaotic nature of the presser, with voices raised, insults flying, and security nearby. Not long after the event, Bo Nickal responded on X. He dismissed the criticism and shifted his focus directly to Covington. Nickal said he would love to fight him, but doubted that Covington would accept. He pointed out that they weigh the same, making the matchup realistic. Nickal then called for the fight to take place on the proposed UFC White House card, turning the verbal exchange into a potential real confrontation down the line. Whether or not that fight ever materializes, the incident highlighted the ongoing clash between wrestling pedigree and MMA star power. It also showed how quickly personalities can dominate headlines outside the cage. For now, the focus returns to the event itself, but the animosity lingers, and the possibility of these worlds colliding again remains very real. Fans are watching, promoters are listening, and the rivalry has already done its job by pulling attention exactly where it wants to be. The noise may fade, but the tension around Nickal remains. Moving on to another news. Arman recently opened up about some tough health news during a live stream with the MMA guru and Aiden Ross. He revealed that a hernia was the main reason he had to pull out of his scheduled fight with Islam Makhachev, and he admitted that it might require surgery if it continues to bother him. Arman explained that he had an MRI after the fight, which confirmed the issue. He struggled to describe it in English, but emphasized that it was serious enough to affect his training and movement. "I have a hernia," he said, "and I may need surgery. I may not. We'll see if it's going to bother me again." He confirmed that if it does persist, he will have to get it removed. The injury caused significant discomfort, especially in his back. Arman described how his back was stuck and he could barely move for a period of time. The pain was severe, making basic movements difficult, and it clearly affected his preparation for competition. Despite the setback, Arman shared that after a couple of weeks, he started regaining mobility. He was able to begin light running and movement again, signaling that he is on a gradual path to recovery. While the situation is frustrating for him, Arman remains focused on getting healthy and returning to full training. The hernia is an obstacle, but with careful management and potential surgery if necessary, he is determined to overcome it and get back into the octagon at full strength. Moving on to another news, Justin Gaethje could be walking away from the sport if things do not go his way at UFC 324. The former interim lightweight champion has once again sparked retirement talk, and this time it feels more serious than ever. Gaethje previously made headlines when he suggested he might retire if he was not given a title opportunity in his next fight. Now, that idea has evolved into something even more definitive as his next bout approaches. Gaethje is set to face Paddy Pimblett for the interim lightweight belt on January 24th at UFC 324 in Las Vegas. According to those closest to him, this fight represents a final push rather than just another step in his career. During a recent interview with ESPN MMA, longtime coach Trevor Wittman revealed that this could be the last walk to the cage for Gaethje if he does not leave with gold. Wittman explained that this is their last run and that they are not interested in continuing just for money fights or playing the role of a gatekeeper. Gaethje, as he put it, is a goal setter, and if the ultimate goal is not achieved, he is ready to move on. Wittman also made it clear that a victory could completely change that outlook. If Gaethje wins the interim belt, the hope is that he would stay active and defend it multiple times. The desire is there to compete again and again, but only if it makes sense for his health and his family. At 37 years old, and after years of brutal wars inside the octagon, Gaethje understands the cost of staying too long. Winning the belt would justify pushing forward. Losing it would likely close the chapter. As for the game plan against Pimblett, Wittman hinted that fans could see a different approach. He emphasized that this camp has not prepared for a pure striking battle. Gaethje has spent a significant amount of time sharpening his grappling, particularly his offensive wrestling and positional control. Wittman even said that this area of improvement is one of the things he is most proud of. Of course, fans have heard similar promises before, only to see Gaethje rely almost entirely on striking once the cage door closes. Despite that, betting lines and general consensus still lean toward Pimblett leaving Las Vegas with the interim belt. However, Michael Chandler recently offered a different perspective. Speaking to ESPN, Chandler said Gaethje's reach, leg kicks, patience, and composure make him a very dangerous opponent. He described Gaethje as a completely different animal and leaned toward him becoming interim champion. Chandler even floated the idea of Gaethje beating Ilya later in the year, though he admitted that would be an extremely tough matchup. Still, for fans who want to see a longtime warrior finally get his moment, Gaethje remains the man they are rooting for. Moving on to another news, Bo Nickal's rapid rise in the UFC is once again under the spotlight, following comments from one of his longtime coaches. Speaking with MMA Fighting, American top team coach Mike Brown addressed Nickal's recent setback and admitted that the pace of his climb may have been too aggressive. The discussion centered around Nickal's loss to RDR, a fight that many now see as a step taken earlier than ideal. Brown explained that everyone involved was aware Nickal was moving fast. He said Nickal knew it, the coaches knew it, and management knew it as well. Despite that, the push continued because of the business side of the sport. According to Brown, when a fighter starts earning bigger paychecks, the matchups naturally become tougher. Fighting on prelims does not come with major money, and once you are paid like a featured name, you are expected to face real tests rather than easy assignments. Brown made it clear that there was no bitterness behind the comments. Instead, he framed the situation as a learning experience that comes with opportunity. He pointed out that the UFC is not in the habit of giving layups to fighters who are already being compensated at a high level. If you want the big bucks, you also accept the pressure and the risk that comes with facing experienced, dangerous opponents. Not long after those remarks circulated, Bo Nickal addressed them directly on X. Rather than pushing back, Nickal agreed with his coach's assessment. He wrote that the comments were very true and expressed appreciation for everyone who has helped guide him so far. Nickal specifically thanked Coach Mike and his management, emphasizing that they are all on the same page. He also stressed that the journey is a shared one and that improvement remains the priority. Nickal said the team will continue getting better every single day and made it clear that he is grateful for the support system around him. While the loss was a setback, the tone of his response suggested maturity and perspective rather than frustration. For Nickal, the moment may serve as a reset instead of a roadblock. The expectations remain high, but the message from both fighter and coach is clear. Growth takes time. Lessons come fast at the top level, and the focus now is on steady improvement moving forward. Moving on to another news. Arman was clearly not happy after a back and forth with the MMA guru during a recent live stream. The exchange quickly went viral after the MMA guru claimed that Ilya could defeat Islam Makhachev at lightweight. That take did not sit well with Arman, who immediately pushed back and challenged the logic behind it. The discussion centered around weight classes and matchups. Arman questioned whether Ilya could really beat Islam at 155, pointing out that Islam has already proven himself as the dominant force in that division. The MMA guru tried to clarify his stance, saying that at 170, he would not pick Ilya, but at 155, he believed Ilya could get the job done. Arman dismissed the idea, arguing that Ilya relies mostly on boxing and does not possess the complete skill set needed to overcome Islam. The MMA guru countered by bringing up Ilya's submission win over Bryce Mitchell, claiming that it showed Ilya has real grappling. Arman remained unconvinced, repeatedly shutting down the argument and questioning where that grappling would stand against an elite wrestler like Islam. The back and forth grew more heated, with both sides talking over each other as the chat watched on. Later in the livestream, things took a more entertaining turn. The MMA guru was challenged to a $20,000 bet if he could secure a takedown on Arman. Not only did he fail the challenge, but he also slipped and fell 3 separate times in the attempt. The moment quickly became a highlight of the stream and added fuel to the ongoing debate surrounding the whole exchange. Moving on to another news. Aslam Bekbadayev, one of the biggest voices in Russian MMA and recently crowned the best Russian MMA journalist of 2025, dropped explosive news that has the entire Russian MMA world buzzing. He revealed that Dana White personally reached out to Khabib to begin negotiations for a potential return tied to a massive, once-in-a-lifetime event at the White House. This all began after multiple Russian outlets reported that wealthy Saudi businessmen are prepared to financially back the UFC and cover Khabib's salary for a single fight. The number being floated is staggering, an estimated $100 million for just one fight. That figure would shatter every pay record in UFC history and place it in a league of its own. Reports claim that United States President Donald Trump is fully on board with the idea and considers Khabib the top pound-for-pound fighter in the world, even years after his retirement. While nothing has been signed or made official, the fact that a direct phone call between Dana White and Khabib has already taken place shows this is far beyond mere internet speculation. Dana White and his team requested the call, which occurred just a few days ago, emphasizing how serious this is on their side. An official request was sent through the Russian UFC media team to set up the conversation, highlighting the level of formal coordination involved. Outreach like this happens more often than people realize with high-profile Western figures, and Dana regularly gets on the phone when something truly matters to him. This approach is not new in MMA. Years ago, Conor McGregor used similar tactics. After a Russian fighter made an offhand comment about Conor, he reached out through the UFC's Russian media team to identify exactly who had said it, showing just how hands-on these superstars and executives can be when it comes to their interests. For Khabib, this potential White House event represents a massive opportunity, not just financially, but historically. Even though nothing is finalized, the fact that Dana White himself made the call signals that the UFC is serious about making this happen. The combination of presidential backing, a reported $100 million payday, and global fan interest makes this one of the most talked about potential comebacks in MMA history. If it all comes together, Khabib's return could redefine pay-per-view economics and set a new standard for superstar fights. Fans worldwide are watching closely as this story continues to develop, and the possibility of seeing Khabib back in the cage, even for one monumental fight, has captured the imagination of the entire MMA community.